All right, Rock and Blues Fiddle Jam A-Toodz. Here we go again. I'm doing another one, a playthrough session. Here's the cover. It's a pretty cool book. And I'm doing these kind of excerpts, playthroughs for you. If you have the book already, you can jump along with me. I'm not going to do, in this video, every lick on every level of this one lesson, but I'm jumping to A minor, one of my favorite keys on the violin. Educationally, it's one of my favorite because it has two, count them, two easy zones. If you don't know what an easy zone is, it's a term I coined in the Fiddle Jam book originally back in 2002. It's a symmetrical fingering on two adjacent strings, to be you know, fancy sounding. In other words, the same fingering on two strings right next to each other. So that makes it super easy. It makes it a no-brainer to jam because it makes it easy. Because if too much thinking makes you jam worse. Just going with it and not thinking too much and playing whatever is in your heart and your mind, a split second ahead of time, you think of it, you just do it. That's the magic for jamming, and that's what I'm trying to train people for. And if it has an easy fingering and an easy key, that makes it all that much easier, much of a no-brainer to do it. All right? And A blues scale, A minor pentatonic, as it's sometimes called, has two easy zones on the violin fingerboards in standard tuning. So, A blues is nothing but A's, C, D, E, G, and A. Anywhere on your fiddle. Now, I just played those things in first position on the A and E strings. It's open, lowered second finger, and third finger, open, low, 2, 3. Same finger. Same thing on two strings right next to each other. Now, those same letter names also happen to be on the G and D strings. First finger A, third finger C, open D, first finger E, G, and open G. So on the bottom two strings, open 1, 3, open 1, 3. On the top two strings, open low 2, 3, open low 2, 3. You get a lot of mileage with two little easy fingerings in this popular key of A minor. So that covers the scale notes. Mess around with those. Stop the video and just mess around with them. That's what we're training you for here anyways, is how to jam and mess around with things. So let me do a few of the measures here. And in this book, usually it's one measure at a time. Is meant to be kind of a call and answer. You can hear me do it and play it back. I tried it a couple times. Measure 8 on level 1 on the first page of it. Single strings. That's A, C, D, C. Do it with me. Good. Let's do the same thing on measure 10. On the E string. E, G, A. Let's skip ahead to measure 14. Down in the G string. A. Starting to get nasty and cool already, isn't it? Try it again. Ready, go. That's A, G, C, A. You like it so far? Then I get into some string crossings for those who are at the beginning level. How about measure 16? A, C, D, E, and back down. Try measure 17. That's A, up the octave, low 2, 3, low 2. Again. Then I get into the easy lick kind of area. Looks like this page might have a little bit of a misprint actually. Kind of a line missing in the staff. Anyway, if you have the book, I apologize for that. I didn't notice that before I published it. Let's go to measure 23. Classic riff. D, C, A. And triplet. Triplet. One triplet, two triplet, three triplet. about measure 26? Kind of a guitaristic riff. A, G, A, C, 4 times, 3 times. Again. Again. I did not stress bowings in this book. It's up to you to do your own bowings. I have suggestions here and there. You could start things up bow, start them down bow. I suggest trying them both ways because you're trying to train your body and your muscles for vocabulary. I go through patterns on measure 27. And I'd go down. Now, are those riffs you're going to really need in a song? No, but you might practice those to you know, be prepared for just about anything that you might imagine. So, on the second level, the second page of these exercises, as all these pages are formatted this way, I get into the in-between notes. When the minor pentatonic becomes the blues scale officially, it has the flatted fifth in it. And that would be the E flat. So, if A is the 1, E is its fifth. A, B, C, D, E. Straight across. And the violin is tuned in fifths, so keep that in mind. So if A and E is its fifth, to flat the fifth, you can't flat an open string, so you got to go onto your fourth finger on the A string. The fourth finger E is the same as the E then. Get that sassy, you got to scroll up your nose to do it. So let's put it on the lower octave first, and measure 35. E flat, low 1 on the D string. It's another E flat. Try measure 36. I usually slide those, and I usually slur them. I put a slur in as a suggestion. So E flat, slide to 1. So E flat, low 1, sliding to 1. Now that could be a trick for some people, bowing wise. It's sliding up and the bow is going down. Try that a few times. And then also try it up bow. So the finger is going to slide up, it's going the same way, but the bow is going to go the other way. Some people it's a left-right brain trick. You should be able to do it both directions with the fingering going the same. So once you get it, it's like riding a bike. It's a cool riff. That's measure 36. D, C, A. Again. Let's stress this note a little bit more. Measure 37. There's that note, the E flat on the A string. So A, C, D, E flat. Again. Got it? Measure 38. That's a guitar riff I've ever heard one. It's something like Chuck Berry would have done. That's the E flat, open E. G low 2, E flat, E, G, A. Got kind of a polyrhythm in there. It's a 3-note sequence over duple eighth notes. How about swing it? Don't talk a lot about swing in this book. This is more about riff training for your left hand. Bowing is another thing, but you could swing anything. So instead of doing them straight, you can do them swung, which means long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long. And there is many lessons on the site about that. Let's jump ahead. I'm looking at measure 51, a similar riff. Except it's a triplet. E flat, E, G. Some people might want to play the E flat with their raised third finger because they're not used to the pinky. I don't recommend it. You can do whatever you want. You can play with your nose or your toes if you want, but as long as it's your way to do it. But I think it's easiest for fiddlers to just flop for the low four, just flop their pinky right next to the third finger. It's a little harder if you jam your wrist up in there. And if you drop your wrist like a classical violinist, it's easier to reach these things. But there's no reach at all in general. Our pinky's a lot shorter by the way we're evolving as human beings. And just flop it down next to third, it's fine. All right? See what else I can jump to. Later, I start adding a little more of the mechanics of music, and we talk about the 6th note of the scale, or the 13th, as some people speak about it in chords, which would be the F sharp in this key. This gets it into the Dorian land of modal playing, but you'll hear it. That's a little tougher. That's as good as any. So, measure 61. G, C, D, E, G, F sharp. It's got kind of a sweetness to the blues. It's kind of a weird thing. F sharp, G. C, G, F sharp. That's a net total stutter. There it is with rhythm. Now I noticed I missed a double bar in this one too. I made some mistakes. 62 is. It's a triplet with A, F sharp, G, the E flat we just learned, sliding the G, and the 16th note thing, F sharp. It's measure 62. If you're having trouble down, that's okay. It's a little tougher. I then get into double stops. Say down in measure 69. Double stops include often just open strings if they are in the key, and this key has all 4 open strings involved in it. I throw in the open G in this key sometimes. So it's A, G, and then we'll drone the G while we play in the D string. E flat, E. I needed to do the exercise. Include that string. You could, mostly it'd be the A and the E strings, the root and the 5th, if you're going to drone things. But they do exist in this key. Let's see, measure 73. It's alternating with open A, E, E flat, D, G. Do that again. Again. That prepares you for the next measure, which is actual double stops. D's with A's, going to drone the A. E flat, E. Now, when you have a drone that's above the notes on the string you're playing on the D string. You got to be careful when you're droning the A not to let any of the skin behind the backside of your finger touch the A string, because else you get the most horrible scratching squeal like this. That's what'll happen. That was when I bent this finger down a little bit to let the skin touch the A. You got to make sure you get arched and make sure you're not touching the A string while you're playing on a lower string with your fingers. So that's a good technical trick. If you got big fingers, that's a little bit tough. It's like Perlman has big fingers though, and he can do it. So if he can do it, you can do it. All right? Do the same thing in measure 76. That's there's a B in there. I taught that earlier. That's the 9th of the 2nd. C, D. And again, the E string is famous for it. Don't touch it. So there's those kind of things. little tricks. In level 3, it gets a little more difficult. It gets a little more into double drones. Double drones are when we have the same exact pitch on 2 different strings. There's 3 really good ones. Open E with 4th finger E. Got that cool fiddly sound. Here's open E. Here's 4th finger E and the A string. Together. Sounds cool, huh? There's double A's. I suggest you slide them in just like that to learn to hear it, learn to feel it, and double D's. There's only those 3 on the bottom. They're very special secret tricks. And the beginning of level 3 gets right into this. Measure 80. E flat, open E, E flat, and then slide the E flat low 4 to regular 4. So C, D, E flat, E, E flat. That's the cool stuff. Sounds neat, doesn't it? All right, we can do other strings as well. We get into parallel fifths, which aren't necessarily my favorite, as I've said before, but they're kind of cool to throw them in. That's measure 89. So parallel fifths are when I said that strings are tuned in fifths, so anywhere you put a finger on both strings, straight across from each other. It's a little oriental sounding. Some people think it's rock and roll. I hear bluegrass players put this in sometimes. So here we have low 2, low 2, low 2, 3, low 2. The trick to getting those in tune is kind of nestling your finger between the strings, so that where the string leaves the flesh of your finger, it's kind of equal across. So there will be a curvature of your finger that's between the strings, and on the back side of that curvature, it'll be the same as on the back side of the curvature on the other one. So you kind of nestle it, find that spot and nestle it. That's the only way to get them in tune without frets on your fiddle, which is another thing, but it's a different kind of fiddle. Then we get into licks and tricks that are really, a little more out there. Like measure 95. Good riff. A, double drone on A's. E, a G, E, C, low 2. A little syncopation. One more time. This stuff gets better and better as we go through these materials. Some of them get pretty crazy in this key. Looking ahead. In 104, I do this, one of my favorite tricks. I shift the second position. Now, if you're kind of new and not used to second position is when you take your fingers where the normally is and slide them up 1. So your first finger is now where your second used to be. So you got the third finger is now what your second is, and where your fourth finger used to be is what your third is, and you can reach 1 more. So in this key, there's this cool riff. I use it all the time. In measure 104, C with the first finger, D with the second, E flat with the third, and then open E, and the low 2 is now a first finger, A, and you can reach up to C. C is part of this key too. It's a cool riff. Fourth finger. And one of my favorites, 105. And then slide up to the harmonic. If you know the harmonic side, it's touched halfway, exactly halfway between the nut and the bridge. You find that spot. The bell-like tone just barely touch the string. So, I throw that in my solos sometimes. I know it's cheesy to have pre-canned licks a little bit, but that's part of my 10% rule of it's okay to have a few licks in your pocket. That's one of them. Listen to any of my recordings, you might find that riff in there. So there are some cool ones. I hope that it helps you. If you're playing along with your book, thank you for purchasing it. If you want to get the book, it's for sale on the site, of course, $20. It's a good book, I think. 93 pages of stuff in all the favorite keys. It has this same format. It has 3 levels of licks and tricks, and then one page of groove tunes. So I might as well do one of those. Let's see. How about the first one, number 1, on the 4th page of A minor. Without over-laboring that one, it's got some syncopation offbeats, which is good practice too. It's A, G, C, G, and on the ends, E, A, G, C, D, C, D, D sharp, which is the same D flat, G. I wrote it as D sharp, it was easier on the reading. So one more time, and you get these to the point where they groove when you're comfortable with them. All that stuff I taught you in this video alone could be a great solo. If you just paste them all together, cut and paste them any way you want. So that's the cool stuff, the easy way. I think it's the easy way, and if it's tough for you, that's good. That means it's something you need to learn and can learn yet, and it's very possible for you to do well with this. So an A is a great popular key in bluegrass and blues and all kinds of keys, all kinds of styles. So, and it leaves a lot of open strings, use all of them in this key. And you get to sound bluesy, you get to be comfortable on a double easy zone key. So there's A minor pentatonic or A blues easy zones from the A-Toodz book, Rock and Blues Fiddle Jam A-Toodz. You get it in the school store at the Fiddle Jam Institute. Check it out. Have fun.